At Thanksgiving, I stood for 6 hours cooking the entire meal alone. When I finally sat down to eat, my uncle took one bite, spat it out, and said, "No wonder you're single." My family howled with laughter as I held back tears. Later that night, I scrubbed the kitchen by myself while they drank and watched football. The next year, when I refused to host, they were furious and showed up at my door demanding an apology. I live in Canton, Ohio. I'm 34, no kids, no husband, and I work remotely as a graphic designer. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills and gives me a little quiet. I've always been the kind of person who tries to do things right. I'm not loud. I'm not pushy. I keep the peace. Maybe too much. Last Thanksgiving, I offered to host the family again. My mom used to do it every year before she passed from cancer in 2018. After that, things fell apart a bit. My brother Mike and his wife Ashley tried hosting once. It was a disaster. Frozen turkey. Stovetop stuffing. No one wanted to repeat that. So I stepped up. Again. I planned for weeks. Bought everything myself. The good butter, not the cheap stuff. Fresh herbs. Special cheeses for a fancy charcuterie board that I saw on Pinterest. I cleaned the whole house top to bottom, moved furniture, shampooed the rugs, even scrubbed the baseboards like a crazy person. On Thanksgiving Day, I got up at 6 a.m. The turkey had to go in by 8. I didn't even shower. I pulled my hair into a messy bun and got to work. My kitchen is small, and I had every burner going. Potatoes boiling. Carrots roasting. Cornbread cooling. I didn't stop. I didn't sit. Not even for a coffee. Around noon, my brother and Ashley showed up with their toddler, Mason. They walked in like it was a hotel. "No, need any help?" "No, how's it going?" Ashley dumped Mason on my counter, handed him her phone, and disappeared into the living room. Mike asked where the beer was. That's it. Stacy, my cousin, showed up next. She brought a box of Franzia wine and nothing else. No side dish. No napkins. Just wine and a story about some guy she matched with on Bumble. She flopped on the couch and started texting. My Uncle Ray showed up around 1:30, already smelling like beer. He's the kind of guy who thinks women are either too sensitive or not fun enough. My dad always called him an acquired taste, which is code for rude jackass. By 3:45, dinner was ready. I called everyone to the table. No one moved. I had to go into the living room and say it again. Finally, they came in. Piled food on their plates like I was a server. I didn't even get to make my plate first. They were scooping turkey and mashed potatoes like they hadn't eaten in days. I sat down last. I had maybe 3 bites on my plate. That's when it happened. Ray stabbed a piece of turkey, shoved it in his mouth, chewed twice, then spat it into his napkin. "No wonder you're single." The whole table burst out laughing. Mike nearly choked on a bite. Stacy shrieked and slapped the table. Even my dad smirked. No one said, "Hey, that was rude." No one told him to shut up. I sat there, stunned. I couldn't even look up. My stomach twisted. My eyes burned. I felt like I was back in high school, standing in the cafeteria with a tray while someone poured milk on my food. I didn't say a word. I just stood up and started clearing plates while they kept laughing. No one stopped eating. No one offered to help. I took dish after dish into the kitchen. Scrubbed in silence while they watched the game. I could hear them in the other room cheering, yelling at the ref, laughing about dry turkey and spinster stuffing. I cried behind the fridge. Not a sob. Just quiet tears. My hands were raw from dish soap, my feet hurt, and my heart felt like it had been stomped on. After they left, no one texted to say thanks. No one offered to help clean up the next day. I was left with a trashed kitchen, 3 bags of garbage, and a cold lump of turkey in the fridge. That was the moment I decided. I'm not doing this again. Not next year. Not ever. The days after Thanksgiving felt quiet. Too quiet. Like something in me had gone still. I didn't answer calls from my brother. Didn't reply to my dad's lazy, "thanks for hosting," text that came 2 days late. I just shut down. Worked. Ate frozen dinners. Slept. I didn't even put up Christmas decorations. I was done pretending things were fine. I told myself, next year, I'm not hosting. I don't care what they say. By September, I started getting texts. Ashley, hey, just checking, are we good for Thanksgiving at your place? Mike. Let me know what time you want us to come over this year. Stacy, can I bring my new guy to dinner? He's chill, I swear. They didn't ask. They assumed. So I replied with one short message, not hosting this year. Please make other plans. Silence for a day. Then, all hell broke loose. Mike called me. Not to ask, no. To demand. What do you mean you're not hosting? You always host. We made plans. No one helped last year. I cooked everything alone, cleaned alone, and you all treated me like trash. I'm not doing it again. Oh, come on. Don't be so sensitive. That's just Ray being Ray. You know how he is. Yeah, I do. And I'm done with it. Ashley texted me next. Paragraphs. Ashley, I get that you were overwhelmed, but honestly it felt like you were just in a bad mood the whole day. No one wants to walk on eggshells during the holidays. Stacy jumped in with her own gem. Stacy, we all have stress. You're not the only one. Hosting is just part of being in a family. I blocked them all for a week. Just needed peace. Then, the week before Thanksgiving, they showed up. At my door. Mike. Ashley. Stacy. Even my dad. I opened the door in sweatpants, holding a coffee, thinking maybe it was a delivery. Ashley was the first to speak. We need to talk. This is ridiculous. Mike stepped forward. We're not letting you break up the family over one bad joke. My jaw tightened. I crossed my arms. You all humiliated me in my own house, then expected me to do it again like nothing happened. That's not a bad joke. That's abuse. Stacy rolled her eyes. Oh, give me a break. My dad looked at me like I'd just insulted my mother's memory. You're acting like a child. We always spend Thanksgiving together. I said nothing. Just let them talk. Let them dig the hole deeper. Ashley finally snapped. So what, you're going to sit here alone with a TV dinner out of spite? No, I said, dead calm. I'm going out of town. I booked a cabin. Alone. No cooking. No dishes. Just peace. They stared like I'd just confessed to a murder. You're really doing this, Mike muttered. You're seriously ditching your family. Family doesn't treat people like servants. Or jokes. So if you want to spend Thanksgiving with each other, go ahead. Just don't do it in my house. I shut the door before they could answer. The next day, I left town. But that wasn't the end. Because I had a plan. I drove 3 hours south to a quiet Airbnb cabin outside Hocking Hills. It was small, just 1 bedroom, a little fireplace, and a deck that looked out over a dry creek bed. No TV. No Wi-Fi. Just books, blankets, and silence. Thanksgiving morning, I made myself a single plate, store-bought mashed potatoes, a little ham from the deli, a slice of pumpkin pie I brought from the grocery store. No fuss. No dishes. I ate in my pajamas on the deck with a mug of cider, watching the leaves move. It was perfect. Around noon, I turned on my phone. A storm of messages was waiting. Texts from Mike, "So you really left? We're doing pizza." Ray's pissed. "You owe him an apology." Ashley's last one said, "Hope you're happy. You ruined Thanksgiving." That one made me laugh. Ruined it? No, I just didn't volunteer to be their maid again. But then Stacy posted something online. That's when it turned. She put up a photo of a half-eaten frozen pizza, with the caption, "When your sister decides she's too good for her own family and leaves everyone starving on Thanksgiving." Hashtag selfish, hashtag drama queen. I stared at it. My hands went cold. And the comments, oh, the comments. Her friends, wow. What a B***tch move. Families like that always have someone who thinks they're better than the rest. She'll die alone. And then I saw it. My dad commented, "It's sad how people forget where they came from." That was it. That was the moment something snapped. They didn't just dismiss me. They humiliated me again. Publicly. Like I was some stranger who owed them everything. I closed the app. And I got to work. Because I had dirt. I hadn't planned to use it. But they pushed me too far. You see, last year, when Uncle Ray made that awful comment, I was already quietly documenting everything. Because I'd been thinking of writing a blog post about toxic family holidays, how women are expected to do everything. I took pictures. I wrote notes. I even had recordings. Like the one where Stacy jokes about faking a gluten allergy so she doesn't have to bring a dish. Or when Ashley said she only married my brother because she got bored in Dayton. And Mike, oh, Mike had secrets too. 2 months earlier, he got a DUI. But he begged me not to tell Dad. Said he couldn't afford another strike. I kept quiet. Helped him find a lawyer. Guess what I still had? The arrest record. The court notice. The whole paper trail. So I made a private Facebook post. Not public. Just visible to the whole family. I didn't say much. Just uploaded a few photos of last year's Thanksgiving, the mess in the kitchen, the overflowing garbage bags, a snap of Ray laughing with food in his teeth, and captioned it, "This is what I cleaned up after being insulted at my own table." I was alone while everyone else drank and watched football. If you want to talk about selfishness, let's start there. Then I attached Mike's DUI record with no comment. Then I went offline. The fallout started within hours. By the time I got back home that Sunday, my phone had exploded. 36 missed messages. 8 voicemails. Even my old neighbor Janine texted me, "Just saw your post. Good for you. Took guts." The reactions were chaos. Mike called me non-stop. When I finally picked up, he didn't even say hi. He just shouted, "What the hell is wrong with you? You want to call me selfish?" I said, "Let's talk about your DUI and how you drove drunk with your kid's car seat in the back. You promised you'd keep that quiet." "Yeah, and you promised I'd never host alone again. Guess we both broke something." He hung up on me. Ashley followed up with a furious text, blaming me for damaging her husband's reputation. I didn't respond. She didn't seem to care when I was standing in my kitchen crying into the sink last year, so why should I care now? But it wasn't just Mike and Ashley that were imploding. Uncle Ray, the man who couldn't eat turkey without making it personal, was apparently banned from Thanksgiving dinner at another cousin's house after someone forwarded the video I posted. He'd been recorded laughing about busting her spinster ego. I'd forgotten I had it. But it hit hard. Turns out, his boss's wife follows me on Facebook. And she's a big name in their local veterans group. Oops. Stacy, meanwhile, tried to post a clapback. She uploaded some filtered selfie with a quote about rising above the hate. Didn't work. A few people pointed out that her caption called me selfish, but she still eats my food every year and never brings a dish. One even commented, Funny how you all want her house, her cooking, her cleaning but not her feelings. I didn't even know who that person was. My dad didn't call. Not right away. That one hurt more than the rest. But then, on Wednesday 1 week after the post, I got a knock at my door. It was him. He stood there in his windbreaker, holding a grocery bag. He looked tired. Embarrassed. Like the storm had finally shaken something loose. I brought pie, he said. From that bakery you like. I opened the door. We sat at my table. Just the two of us. Quiet. He didn't defend them. He didn't excuse Ray. He just said, I didn't realize how bad it got. That's on me. I nodded. He added, I'm sorry I didn't stand up for you. That one landed. I felt it. Because for once, he didn't act like the peacekeeper. He owned it. Then he told me something I didn't expect. Your mom, she always worried they'd do this to you. That they'd take and take because you don't push back. I stared at the pie between us. My throat closed up. He looked away. I should have done better. We didn't hug. We're not that kind of family. But when he left, he put a hand on my shoulder and said, next year, wherever you are, I'd like to come too. That was enough. But not everyone was ready to move on. Because someone was about to push back, and not in a way I saw coming. The next twist came fast. 3 days after my dad's visit, I got an email from a woman I didn't recognize. Subject line, you need to know what Stacy is doing. Inside was a link to a private Instagram account. It belonged to someone named at Midwest Food Fails, and it was filled with anonymous posts mocking overweight women who pretend they're chefs, sad single ladies who use holidays for attention, and one photo that stopped my breath cold. It was my kitchen. A photo from last Thanksgiving, the pile of dirty dishes, the scraps of food, my hand in rubber gloves mid-scrub. I hadn't posted that anywhere public. Only family had access. The caption? When you think turkey makes you wife material but forget to learn how to cook it. Hashtag single for life, hashtag thanks but no thanks. The comments were worse. People laughing. One person wrote, looks like a cry for help. Or a call for DoorDash. Another said, some women are meant to host. Some are meant to microwave. I scrolled down, sick to my stomach. There were at least 6 posts obviously aimed at me, though they never used my name. But the timestamps and the photos? There was no doubt. The account belonged to Stacy. Or at least, she was feeding it. And the woman who emailed me? Her name was Becca. She used to date one of Stacy's exes. Said she'd seen Stacy post about me in her private story, laughing at how easy it was to get sympathy likes. Becca wrote, I've seen her do this to people before. You're not the first, but you're the first who clapped back. She's obsessed with being liked and always needs someone to tear down. I figured you deserved to know. My hands shook. Not just from anger but shame. She didn't just mock me in front of the family. She took it online. She made a whole hobby out of humiliating me. While smiling to my face and drinking the wine I bought. I wanted to scream. But instead, I screenshotted everything. Every cruel caption. Every photo. Every comment that tied it back to her. Then I made one final post. This one was public. Caption, some of you laughed last Thanksgiving. Some of you told me to move on. So here's what my family did behind my back. This account has been up for over a year. Run by the same cousin who asked to bring her new boyfriend to the dinner I wasn't invited to anymore. I attached all the screenshots. I tagged the account. And I ended it with, I'm done being the quiet one. If you think silence keeps families together, maybe ask why the loudest ones are always the cruelest. Then I logged off again. That's when everything really blew up. By the next morning, the post had spread like wildfire. My phone buzzed non-stop. Texts, emails, even DMs from old classmates I hadn't spoken to in years. The screenshots made it into a local Facebook group, Canton Locals Against Bullying, where dozens of people started sharing their own stories about family mistreatment and public humiliation. And the @Midwest Food Fails account? Gone. Deleted. Too late, though. People had already screen recorded everything. Becca had even sent a screen recording of the account's bio, which briefly listed a link to Stacy's personal TikTok. That was enough to prove what I couldn't before. By 10 a.m., Stacy called me. I didn't pick up. She left a voicemail. I saved it. You are seriously messed up. You just ruined my job. My boss saw that post. I could lose my position over this. You couldn't just let it go? Then another message, this time panicked. Okay, listen. I'll delete everything, okay? Just take your post down. You made your point. Please. I didn't mean it like that. But she did mean it. Every word, every hashtag, every photo. She knew what she was doing. And now the mask had cracked. Mike tried calling next. Left a voicemail, too. All right, enough's enough. You're taking this way too far. You're tearing this family apart over some online crap. No, Mike. Stacy did that. You just never bothered to look past your plate. Then my Aunt Ray's wife texted me something I'll never forget. You should be ashamed of yourself for exposing your cousin online. What happened to family loyalty? I stared at that message for 10 minutes. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. Then I wrote, you didn't say that when she made an entire Instagram account to mock me for a year. Where was your loyalty then? She never replied. That night, I had dinner with my neighbor Janine. She brought over baked ziti and garlic bread and just sat with me. We didn't talk much about the post. But halfway through dinner, she looked at me and said, you know, they always expected you to fold. That's why this hurts them so much. You didn't. It stuck with me. But I knew it wasn't over. Because the final blow hadn't landed yet. And it was coming. 3 days later, Stacy lost her job. I didn't know until she posted a cryptic Instagram story, just a black screen and the words. People are fake. Can't trust anyone. But a friend of hers DM'd me, someone who used to follow both of us. She got called into HR after your post, the friend said. Her boss saw the screenshots. Apparently, the company had a social media policy, and mocking coworkers or family online violated it. I didn't cheer. I didn't feel smug. I just felt empty. I hadn't set out to ruin her life. I only wanted her to feel what I felt, humiliated, exposed, small. And now she had. The rest of the family stayed quiet. Ray never called. He never apologized. But I heard through someone else that he lost his spot in the local veterans group apparently. Once the videos made their way around, a few women in the group pushed him out. His reputation there was toast. Ashley deleted all her social media. Mike? He texted one final time. We all made mistakes. But you made this nuclear. Hope it was worth it. I didn't answer. Because I'd already spent too many years trying to smooth things over for people who'd never lift a finger for me. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't cost me something, too. My cousin Nikki, one of the few who did bring a dish last year, reached out a few weeks after the storm. She said she wasn't angry, but she wished I'd told her how bad it really was before I went public. I would have had your back, she said. That stung. Because she probably would have. Not everyone in my family was cruel. But I lumped them all in together. In my fury, I didn't think about the few quiet ones who hadn't laughed. Who maybe would have spoken up if I had just said, I need help. That's the part one regret. I was so used to being quiet that when I finally screamed, I scorched everything around me. Thanksgiving this year was quiet. My dad came over. Just him. He brought stuffing and 2 slices of pie. We watched old home videos of my mom in the kitchen, smiling, alive in a way I hadn't seen in years. He turned to me and said, "Your mom would have been proud you stood up for yourself." I didn't reply. I just nodded, because I didn't know if she would have been proud or heartbroken that it came to this. Family isn't just blood. It's not just sitting around a table and pretending. It's who shows up, who respects your time, your space, your dignity. I stopped chasing the people who laughed at me. And now, I make space only for the ones who don't. That's my peace. That's my revenge.